Al Bernstein here with Peter Berg, writer, actor, producer, director, brilliantly talented man. But parenthetically, here we are at the Wild Card West gym, which Peter co-owns with Gary Shandling. And I know it wasn't boredom, because you're a little busy, that led you to have a boxing gym. What was the genesis of it?
You know, we used to train at another gym down the street that Bob Dylan actually owns on 18th Street, and there was kind of some stuff went down there, and one of the trainers left, and Gary and I decided to kind of help him out, and we decided to throw ourselves into this, not realizing it was going to kind of take over our lives and become such a passion. And I think for Gary and I, it's just boxing is something we love so much. And this gym has kind of represented an opportunity to do something different. And now it's grown, and we have a lot of members and some pros coming in here. So it's become almost a full-time job.
Yeah, it's amazing. And God knows you got enough things going on. We're going to talk a little bit about some of your other activities in a moment or two. But you have a great affinity with Freddie Roach. You executive produced the series on Freddie Roach, so you know him very well and have a personal connection. This is Wild Card West. What did that happen after you opened the gym, or when you opened it?
It happened afterwards. You know, we opened it. It was running okay. We're having a few problems getting the right personnel in here. It's boxing is a funny business, and people sometimes do what they say and sometimes don't.
Yes, true in everything.
Plans change in the world of boxing, but I think maybe a bit quicker than some other businesses, hopefully. Like you wouldn't want like air traffic control run the same way, I'd say. But we were having we're at a juncture where we weren't sure whether we were going to keep the gym open, and Gary and I were kind of having a heart-to-heart and trying to figure out how much this meant to us. And I had finished the show I did for HBO on Freddie Roach.
Yes.
And I just had this kind of impulsive idea to call Freddie and see if he would be interested in kind of maybe starting to spread his brand a bit. And I knew how crowded things were in Hollywood at his gym, and he came down, and the three of us talked about it. And I kind of pitched a big idea where we would have Wild Card West, and then we would have Wild Card Moscow, and Wild Card Beijing, Wild Card Mexico City, and I started kind of just going off, and Freddie was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And so, we took the name, which helped, and slowly members started coming back, and we got some of Freddie's trainers, and then one day I was here jumping rope, and I looked up, and there was this young kid with red hair standing right at the doorway, for real. And I looked at him, I said, Saul, he said, "Sí, Saul.
Canelo Alvarez.
Yes, and I said, "Canelo?" He said, "Sí." And he said, "Could I train here?" I said, "Yeah, I think we probably
You
could
thought
work
about it for a
something
little
out."
while, yeah.
And that really, it was, kind of like, I really was joking around saying, well, if you build it, they will come. But,
True.
it was, we believed in it, and, Gary has such a passion for this, and we kept it open, and, Canelo came, and then Peter Quillen came, and now we have a full house, so
it's amazing.
It's really a lot of fun.
And when I talked to Gary, he talked about this, the fact that you can also have just regular guys coming here and not feel intimidated by the pros being here. Oftentimes there's a demarcation. They can come here and work out and not worry that Peter Quillen or Saul Alvarez or somebody's over there.
I mean, I've been boxing, as an amateur, as a fan, and as a way of just exercising for 20 years. And whenever I would go on location to make a movie, I would find the local boxing gym.
Sure.
And it was the Kronk Gym in Detroit, Gleason's, Richard Lord's Gym in Austin, Texas. Everywhere I go, I would find a local gym, and I always found gyms to be the most fascinating place, because there was, regardless of the gym, there would always be one or two pro fighters hanging out, but then there would be some housewives and some kids and some criminals and some religious leaders and and it was this great mixture of characters, and I've never been to a boxing gym that's been intimidating. I always found, the culture of boxing gyms, including Wild Card and Freddie's gym, to be wonderfully inclusive and a great place for anyone of any level to come without feeling judged and to learn the art of boxing and to get in great shape. And you know, there's certainly not a macho or a mean vibe in any boxing gym.
No, that's probably a misnomer that some people might think, but you're right. It's a very inclusive kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, and so what I've seen, you know, I've been in here and seen Canelo or, you know, Ray
Sure.
Boom Boom Mancini in here or Quillen, and you know, there's a 45-year-old housewife from Brentwood,
Sure.
and he's showing her how to punch, and they're laughing and having.
It's charming.
There's no. I mean, our only rule is, you know, no mean people, and
Yeah.
and I think that's a pretty common thread with most boxing gyms I've been to, and we're certainly no different. We don't do any MMA. You know, there's no kicking or grappling. It's my only rule really was that it's just a traditional boxing gym.
Now, you mentioned Canelo coming in here and training, and of course he trained here for the fight he did with Austin Trout. I had the pleasure of meeting you down in San Antonio. It was an amazing scene down there, 38,000 people. That was an extraordinary fight and an extraordinary atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, it for us, it started with the Lopez fight, and it's been fun it was quiet, you know, a few people poked their heads in, and that fight was, you know, was a fine fight and not particularly evenly matched fight, I don't think, but it was an interesting way for us to get to know Canelo and his camp, and then to, you know, take on Austin Trout. And I've never seen anything. It was like being at a you know, Rolling Stones concert or something. I mean, the intensity and the clear love that certainly the Latin community has for Alvarez is overwhelming, and he's such a hero there. It was a bit overwhelming and very emotional.
And the fight itself was great. It was a close fight, and afterwards, you and I had a chance to hang out a little bit, and you didn't exactly agree with my. I ended up scoring the fight a draw. You didn't exactly agree with me,
well, no,
which is okay.
You were wrong. It was about
it was that being wrong part that bothered you.
You were right and you were wrong. I mean, I was look. When
you could have gone either way.
But when you get to spend the kind of time that I spent with that camp,
sure, of course.
You know, I fall in love with the fighter,
like
I would my son.
Yes.
And so, and obviously, when you're at the fight, you can't help but get caught up in every. So I did feel that he was maybe doing more than when I watched the fight.
Well,
again.
and the two of the judges agreed with you.
Yeah,
so there
and
you go.
I do think he clearly won the fight just based on the knockdown alone. But and I would say his defense was extremely impressive.
He
and
did
surprising.
show a better defense than in any other fight he's ever had.
So I don't think you can, in my opinion, respectfully call that anything other than a win for Canelo. Right. But I was probably a little hard on you.
It's okay.
At the restaurant.
No, I'm supposed to be. I'm here so people can yell at me. That's my function. You know, you didn't. You were
very
nice.
I was hard on Jim Gray also. So I mean, I didn't hold anything back.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's actually all right.
He was really wrong.
Yeah, he was way wrong. I was only semi-wrong.
But I mean, it is.
It was a great. You do get a bond with the fighters though from them being here.
Yeah, and then incredible. I mean, I got to the point where I was so concerned that I didn't feel that the Canelo camp was worried enough, and so I would, you know, take Chepo or Eddie aside, or sometimes I would text Canelo late at night. I would have anxiety texts about I don't think you're working enough. I don't think you're sparring partner. We gotta get you better sparring partners. And he would just tell me to relax. Yeah, which is so funny. This 22-year-old kid being Peter, relax. Yeah. It's okay. I'm gonna win. Funny. And but yeah, I became a nervous parent, and you know, I'm sure if Austin Trout had been here, I would have felt the same way.
Of course.
I've never met a fighter, including Floyd Mayweather, that I don't have a tremendous admiration for. But when they're in your camp and you become family, it's
different story.
Quite intense to watch.
Well, let's talk for a second about Floyd Mayweather and Canelo, which will happen on September 14th. Canelo will likely be here training in the Wildcard West Gym. Yeah. And it's a fascinating fight, isn't it?
I wasn't sure that it was going to happen. Although I will say when he walked in here the first day, I did have this flash of he and Mayweather going, and that us getting to be a part of it. I mean, I do think he's the right guy. I think he's got a lot of work to do, you know, and it's going to be a more complicated fight than Austin Trout.
Different, well, against Mayweather, obviously
Yes.
one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in decades.
Yes.
It's not going to be an easy task, but he'll be right here getting prepared.
Yeah.
Our thanks to Peter Berg for visiting with us about this Wildcard West gym and your involvement in the sport, which is really remarkable. And you're doing a lot for the sport with this gym.
Well, so are you, buddy. So
All right, good
appreciate
to see you.
All right, thanks, sir.